How's it going, friends? In every man's life, there's going to be a point that you just learn. You learn to either continue to do what you're going to do, or you're going to learn to do something different because you know you need to change. In today's video, I'm going to tell you about my moment, and I'm hoping to share it with you in efforts to have you connect to it in a way that can spark interest, maybe something you can relate to. But other than that, just to practice being vulnerable, because it was one of the most powerful moments in my life, one of the biggest breakthroughs, I would say. So before any of this even happened, friends, before that breakthrough moment for me, I was doing everything right. Everything on the script that was handed to me about what it meant to be a man, I was doing. And it was a blueprint passed down from generations, right? To my father to me, family members, friends at the time, culture, my surrounding, all of that, right? Intertwined. I had to be successful. I had to make it in life. I had to work hard, had to look a certain way. I had to present very masculine. In that energy, don't show emotions. I was following that blueprint. I was doing everything on that checklist. I became a nurse. That's what I do as a career. If you're wondering what it is that I do, then I worked out, did the workout thing, counted macros, worked on my physical exterior, right? To try to see if I could feel better about myself. And it worked. It does. If you put in the effort, you count your macros, go to the gym, it's gonna work out for you. It's just gonna. It then caught up with me because emotionally, I was stunted, so stunted. Luckily for me, I eventually got into a relationship with my current partner, right? She's still my partner today. And she was very patient with me. I was a project emotionally, but it was the last corner of the shit that I needed to work on that I was even looking at, right? Didn't even cross my mind. I thought I was good because when I thought of emotions, emotionally, I didn't have anxiety, I didn't have depression. So as I thought, right? I thought emotionally I was fine, right? Because I wasn't feeling anything. I was numb. And then it was that numbness that then caught up to me. It was that lack of ability to feel feelings, right? Feel my emotions that then caught up to me. It was that piece. That became my greatest weakness whenever I had all these other things already addressed, right? That we talked about. But at the same time, through all of that, I was avoiding my biggest pain point, which is going to happen probably to you, friends. The pain point that landed on my lap was during COVID and the pandemic. When I leaned into exercise, when I leaned into not drinking, not using weed, right? Leaned into the work. I realized I was leaving my partner, who was really struggling at the time, behind emotionally. Emotionally, I left her abandoned. But one thing I realized, friends, is some people, they have to work from the inside outwards. For me, I work from the outside in. So the very last thing I needed to work on was my internal state. For people like my partner, they have to work from the inside internal state and then work out. And if people go into those very dark places in life internally and their exterior is struggling, they can't get to that external part until they work internally on themselves, right? Work through that anxiety, that depression, sit in those feelings, sit in that dark space of despair. And for me, as her partner, I wasn't sitting in that dark space of despair with her. I wasn't even connecting internally to myself. And slowly our relationship started to fracture. We started having the same arguments, the same pain points over and over again. My desire never went away, friends. Like, I've always had the desire. I always cared about her and her feelings. I just never showed it. I never presented with the energy. And honestly, I didn't know how. So over and over again, I kept feeling that same pain of disappointing her. When she's saying I'm not doing well, not being able to connect to her, I couldn't hold that not doing well with her and also get my shit done. Like, I couldn't do both at the same time. My muscle of empathy was so low. I had no tolerance. I couldn't get all my success and also show up for her. When you picture empathy, right, I think of that image that I've seen online before. Sympathy is walking up to a hole and someone's in it. Be like, oh, it must suck down there. Empathy is my partner being in that hole and me, despite everything I have going on, despite my fear of losing it all, right? My success, my money, my physique, whatever it is, despite losing my peace, I go into that hole and I sit in there and I say, man, it really sucks in here. And there's a difference. And for me, I wasn't doing that. And that to me was my pain point, my inability to do that for my partner. So the one thing I was avoiding the most was internal work. I faced my fear. I went to therapy, and that was the solution for me. Because I had everything else, friends. I had everything else, but I had to work internally. And then as I started doing therapy, friends, it really is a journey, and I can't take that part and describe it in any other way. It's just a journey. You will start somewhere that you think is the starting point, and maybe it's a solid one, and maybe you have an outcome and a goal from there. But the reality is it's a journey. You're going to start somewhere. You're going to find this piece over here, that piece over here, this piece. It is all so intertwined. And I know a lot of you guys don't like the T word. You guys don't believe in trauma. You guys push through. But I'm telling you, at one point in your life, if you're anything like me, you're going to have all the shit out here. The money, the career. You're going to be a very hardworking dude. Physically, you're going to have your shit together, right? Maybe you go to the gym, you count your macros, you got the body that you are proud of, you feel good in your skin, and you're going to have it all externally, right? Maybe your peace, you can contain it within yourself, right? Maybe you don't have anxiety or depression, or if you ever did, you have it under control for yourself. But when you start to connect with someone else in your life that you care about, and if they tend to operate slightly different than you, maybe you don't operate so much out of emotion, because like me, I never did. I didn't know how. I never knew it was an option. When you try to connect and get into a relationship with someone who does operate out of emotion, you're going to clash one day. And then if you're anything like me as well, you're just not educated. You don't know any better. The blueprint that was taught to you didn't teach you this piece. You don't know. And that's what happened to me. And I don't want that to happen to any of you guys, friends, because that pain really hurts. Go to therapy, work on that internal state of yours, which is so difficult to do. If you're anything like me, it's the last thing I wanted to do. I woke up at 5 a.m. I counted macros to cut weight. I was putting myself in so much pain externally, physically, to connect with my partner in her pain internally, and it didn't match. The last pain that I had to actually experience to really feel empathy, right, towards my partner's situation was diving into myself and opening up my heart and feeling that rawness, that lack of love, that emotional neglect growing up as a child, right? I had to feel the roots of it, because that's how fucking deep this was for me. I had to go so deep inward. And honestly, what I found was a broken boy and a scared little boy. And that is the boy I connected to. And I realized he's been neglected this whole time. So I say that, friends, just to give you a picture of what you may find on this journey if you decide to actually pursue it. I'm going to be here with you. That's why I started this whole channel, More Than a Man, because I really do think we're already all men, however we come and present. But if you're anything like this, right, and you struggle with emotions, you have it all on the outside, but your world still fucking crumbles. Emotionally, in relationships, you struggle. It's the same shit over again. I got you, because I am that way. And it's something we have to work with probably for the rest of our lives, if I'm honest with you. And that sucks. It really does. But you have to eventually hit that breaking point and then decide for yourself if it's worth it to change. And for me, I had a partner who was so patient, supportive, and to see her broken and me not be able to do anything to make her feel better, to connect to her, to let her not feel alone, broke my heart over and over again. And now I actually look at that as a really powerful gift. That to me was one of the darkest rooms I've ever seen in this life. And if you see anybody in your life, friends, that you care about that has depression, that they're in that hole, they're stuck, they're cemented in, they cannot get out. But if you're okay and you think you're fine the way you are, use that ability to actually do more work on yourself and get into that dark room and sit in it with that person. Because by sitting in it with that person, you both can get the fuck out. But you can't do it without this work, friends. It's powerful stuff. And I just wanted to share it with you because that's the energy I come with. That is one of the most powerful breaking points in my own journey, is seeing that and bringing it here to this channel and to you guys. I'm not joking when I say we all have some of that shit in us, especially if you relate to any of this content. It might be a slightly different thing that triggers it for you, or the slightly different thing that you're working with. But if it's anything with the inability to feel, lack of emotion, emotional suppression, not able to really empathize with people, very cerebral, so much in your head space. That's what this whole channel is about, exploring. And I break it down because I'm still on this journey. I hope some of it you can relate to. I just want to end by saying you're not a lost cause, friends. If you're anything like me, you're not a lost cause. And as broken as you think you are, as much of a victim as you think you are, I just want to shake you. If you're coming out of a breakup, out of a divorce, a repetitive cycle that you realize I can't change it because fuck, I don't feel anything. It's okay. You're not alone, and I'm going to stand in your way because that's what I needed. I'll see you guys on the next video.